Welcome to Hunting for Answers, a true crime podcast. I'm your host, Hunter Gilmore. On today's episode, we're examining the enigmatic disappearance of a 12-year-old little girl out of Tallahassee, Florida. Now, when I came across her story, I knew that we absolutely needed to cover it. So, let's get into it. When Tallahassee police initially labeled her a runaway, they led a lackluster investigation to say the least. With limited details, the clock is ticking as a broken-hearted community bands together in an ongoing search for answers. This is the story of Lori Paige.
Covering Tallahassee, where concern continues to grow as a 12-year-old girl has been missing now for more than a month. Police say Lori Paige went missing at the beginning of June. Now her teacher is asking for help finding her.
Lori Paige. Tonight, concerns are continuing to grow for this missing 12-year-old who was last seen in Tallahassee more than 8 months ago.
The Jacksonville FBI is offering a $15,000 reward to help find 12-year-old Lori Paige. Paige vanished in Tallahassee back in June, but may have ties to Tampa, Thomasville, Georgia, and Nashville, Tennessee.
She's not just going to disappear, and it doesn't matter. It matters to us. It matters to our school. She's a Griffin Tiger. We spent time with her. She's not just going to disappear and us not do anything.
The teachers got together and did a search for her. It wasn't the police, as I said. It wasn't ATVs and helicopters and heat-seeking sonar. The teachers got together. Why is this happening to this little girl? Why hasn't anybody championed her? Is it because she's black?
Lori was born on April 14th, 2011. A smart, driven, and attentive 12-year-old with a bright future, she instantly became a favorite student among her teachers, including Griffin Middle School instructor Margaret Summers, whose dedication to finding Lori hasn't let up since the beginning, even organizing multiple search efforts to help find the missing student.
She's very memorable because every day she would come straight from the door to my desk where I sat and say, and give me a fist bump. And how are you doing? How are you doing?
According to Summers, Lori's case wasn't receiving the attention it deserved, and described the little girl as being very polite and studious, having zero disciplinary issues.
Sometimes she's brought to my mind because other kids come up and say, Miss Summers, have they found Lori?
Lori is said to have last been seen in the 1200 block of Continental Court. At the time of her disappearance, she was living with her father, who was kind of new to the whole full-time parenting thing. You see, Lori had only been living with him for about a year, and her mother was pretty much out of the picture from that point. Reportedly, her father was doing the best he could to provide for his daughter, and was pretty protective over her as well. During one incident involving her mother, he didn't hesitate to call 911 when Lori was left feeling unsafe in the matter. Police then arrived on scene and had asked her mother to remove herself from the home. And even though this whole living arrangement was still fairly new, she was doing very well adjusting and was thriving in school. But June 2023, that would all change.
She was reported missing to us on June 3rd by her father with very limited information. So Dad works overnight. He is he works in our correctional facilities. So he left late the night before, returned the next day after his shift, and she was gone. She was home by herself. He had worked nights since she had come to live with him, and she would always be home while he worked his overnight shift. It was a quadruplex, so it's like a there's a lot of little places, and there was a neighbor reference, obviously, for her, an adult person, that if she needed something, she had somebody to reach out to.
But according to Lori's mother, things just weren't adding up.
The police report said that she ran away, and there's no reason why they believe that she was taken. And that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because you can voluntarily leave under manipulative circumstances. So, and then whether she voluntarily left or not, she's a child. What rights do children have to move around as they please? Can she get in the car and voluntarily drive down your block? Because just as sure as she gets in a car and starts to drive it, that's going to be a problem. But when she voluntarily leaves and is missing, like, this doesn't make sense. Things that don't make me sense make me upset. I get irritated. Where is Lori Paige?
With very few details to go based off of, investigators turned to social media.
When police began looking into the disappearance of 12-year-old Lori Paige, detectives started by looking for her digital footprint. But Lori Paige has no digital footprint. She's not on social media. Old school methods are being used to find the middle schooler, knocking on doors and talking to neighbors, putting up flyers with her name and personal details, sharing information with neighboring police agencies, and asking the public for help.
Police ultimately became baffled on how to further proceed with her investigation.
The digital footprint and the fact that there's not much of that is certainly going to be the fact that, how long it's been since she's last been seen, last been heard of. All of those things make it very difficult to determine exactly what happened, exactly where she is.
Now, this didn't exactly help the fact that police had already prematurely cast her off as a runaway and said that no foul play was suspected in her disappearance. A statement that her mother stood strongly against.
Did she leave in the middle of the night to go be outside voluntarily without being manipulated? In no world does that make sense. She might be outside in the dark. She is scared of everything. How are you outside in the dark for this long? And who's feeding you? Who is feeding this child? Because again, I know my child. Her first word was eat. Tallahassee has some of the worst sex trafficking in the state. And it's 20 minutes to Georgia. So yes, I'm concerned. Very concerned.
After weeks went by, the search grew stagnant. And after months of no concerted effort, community members started to feel as if the case had gone cold. Pastors and other community leaders stepped up to further advocate for Lori's search and recovery.
I'm so glad to see the pastors here because I feel like they have a tremendous influence, more so than any law enforcement officer, than any media person. These pastors can get the attention of the people that we need.
We ask now, Father, that you use us to keep the name of Lori Paige in front of the people.
We decided that it's important that social media is not enough. Talking to people on the telephones is not enough. We need to get out and actively search for her. We must be the gatekeepers of Tallahassee. We must be the gatekeepers of our community.
When a local news station asked the Tallahassee Police Department about the case, they stated that they, quote, had no plans of an official investigation. It wouldn't be until after Nancy Grace did a very highly critical examination of Lori's case, exposing how authorities were mishandling it, that they would finally facilitate a solid search effort. 8 months after Lori vanished. According to Tallahassee Police, this is the longest missing persons case they have seen in the past year.
How can a 12-year-old little girl just disappear and nobody knows anything? Not only that, This little girl goes missing June 3. Let's see, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. And nothing is being done. Why? Where is this beautiful 12-year-old girl, Lori Paige, out of Tallahassee, Florida? Got a lot of questions about this investigation. But most important, where is she? Is she dead or alive? Who has her? What's been done to her? Has she been sex trafficked? Is she being hidden? Is she even alive? Let me give you the tip line right off the top. 850-574-TIPS. 850-574-8477. We really need your help.
Police attempted to intensify their search when they partnered up with the Tallahassee Fire Department to search San Luis Mission Park. Except this time, investigators deployed a new tactic: a grid search. According to authorities, that's the opportunity to go inch by inch over an area, especially a large area. The park is reportedly located in the northern part of the city and is not far from the last place Lori was seen. And most recently, police deployed a dive team into Lake Esther in an attempt to find the missing middle schooler, but were unsuccessful in finding anything. So far, there have been 0 suspects or persons of interest named in the disappearance of Lori Paige. Now, let's paint a picture of what Lori looked like at the time of her disappearance. She stood 5 feet tall and weighed 120 pounds. She has brown eyes and black shoulder-length locks. Anyone with information regarding Lori's whereabouts is urged to contact the FBI's Jacksonville field office, Tallahassee Police Department, or submit a tip at tips.fbi.gov. You can find all of that information in the description box. First, I want to extend my thoughts and prayers to Lori Paige's family and friends, as well as the entire community that's working tirelessly to find her. I find it extremely irritating how police immediately jumped to the conclusion that Lori was a runaway, a trend we unfortunately see in so many cases involving Black women and girls. The only sort of mainstream attention this story has garnered in the past 8 months was on Nancy Grace, and we saw she was able to at least light a fire underneath authorities to launch another investigation. If that was able to be done, imagine what more can be if we just continue to share Lori's story and spread the word. Please let these stories serve as a reminder of the importance of empathy and awareness. And if you're craving more cases like Lori's, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you don't miss an episode. You can also find us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you like to podcast. And as always, please share your thoughts on this case in the comments and share this video as we continue to spread awareness surrounding Lori's story. Thank you so much for joining us on Hunting for Answers, a true crime podcast. Until next time.